Hello students, welcome to you all back to the second class of class 10 Civics, chapter power sharing. I hope you all are enjoying this online teaching learning process. By the way, in our first class, we discussed about the conditions of the country, Belgium and Sri Lanka. And we also have seen how the minority communities have been thrashed down by the majority communities and the consequences of it largely. Students, today we discuss accommodation in Belgium, means how the Belgian leaders settle down the problem of their country in a different way. Then we look forward to why power sharing is desirable, and at last we move on the forms of power sharing. You know what happened in Belgium? The Belgian leaders took a different path. They recognized the existence of regional differences and cultural diversities between 1970s and 1993. They amended their constitution for 4 times as to work out an arrangement that would enable everyone to live together in a country. And that's why the Belgian people, means the leaders, have done something innovative. They followed by their own model that is also known as Belgian model, and the elements of these models are: first, what they do, the constitution prescribes that the number of Dutch and French speaking ministers shall be equal in the central government. Some special laws require the support of majority of members from each linguistic group. Thus, no single community can make decisions unilaterally. Second one is that many powers of the central government have been given to the state governments for the 2 regions of the country, and the state governments are not subordinate the central government, means they are totally free to do their own work. And the third point is that Brussels, the capital city of Belgium, has a separate government in which both the communities, the Dutch communities and the French communities, have equal representation. The French speaking people accepted equal representation in Brussels because the Dutch speaking community has accepted equal representation in the central government. And the last one is that apart from these all, the central and the state government, there is a third kind of government, and this community government is elected by people belonging to one language community. They may be from Dutch, French and German speaking, no matter where they live. And the government has the power regarding cultural, educational and language related issues. But here one thing that is important, you may find that the Belgian model be very complicated. It indeed is very complicated even for people living in Belgium, but these arrangements have worked well so far. They helped to avoid civic strife between the 2 major communities and a possible division of the country on linguistic lines. So that's all about this. I hope you all understand what is the Belgian model. Now we discuss about that why the power sharing is desirable. There are 2 different sets of reasons that can be given in favor of power sharing. The first in that power sharing is good because it helps to reduce the possibility of conflict between social groups. Yes, it is right. It is helping us also. Since social conflict often leads to violence and political instability, power sharing is good way to ensure the stability of political order. Imposing the will of majority community over others may look like an attractive option in the short run, but in the long run, it undermines the unity of the nation. First, it was taken that for a short term, the majority communities will get all the power, but in for long term, when they look it, then they understand that power sharing is very important. And there is also a second point. The second reason is that it is more deeper. Why power sharing is good for democracies? Power sharing is the very spirit of democracy actually. A democratic rule involves sharing of power with those affected by its exercise and who have to live with its effects. People have a right to be consulted on how they are to be governed. So, legitimate government is one where citizens, through participation, acquire a stake in the system. And nowadays, you know that we, the people of India, are also governed by ourselves, by our representatives. Is very good also. So that's all about the two reasons. Okay, two sets which can be very important for this power sharing. And at last, we discuss the forms of power sharing. In democracies, power sharing arrangements can take many forms. First, that power is shared among different organs of the government. It can be shared among the governments at different levels. It can be seen also among the different social groups, or among the political parties, pressures groups, and movements who are controlling or influencing those who are in power. So first thing, if we look in a modern democracy, power sharing is very important. So the first point, if we discuss that power is shared among different organs of the government, such as the legislature, executive, and judiciary. These three organs is totally free, and they have their own power. And by using their own power, they are actually checking the total system. Okay, let us call this it is that it is a horizontal distribution of power, because it allows different organs of government placed at the same level to exercise different powers. Such a separation ensures that none of the organ can exercise unlimited power. Each organ checks the other. This results in a balance of power among various institutions. Second is, the power can be shared among government at different levels. Yes, a general government for the entire country and governments at the provincial or regional level, such as a general government for the entire country, is usually called federal government. In India, we call it central or union government. And the governments at the provincial or regional level are called by different name in different countries. In India, we call them state governments. So this system is not followed in all countries. There are many countries where there are no provincial or state governments, but in those countries like ours, where there are two different levels of government, the constitution clearly lays down the powers of different levels of government. And this is what they did in Belgium, but it was refused in Sri Lanka. This is called federal division of power. And the same principle can be extended to levels of government lower than the state government, okay, such as the municipality and panchayat. Our third point is that power may also be shared among different social groups, such as the religious and linguistic groups. Community government in Belgium is a good example of this arrangement. So in some countries there are constitutional and legal arrangements whereby socially weaker section and women are represented in the legislature and administration. Last year we studied the system of reserved constituencies in assemblies and the parliament of our country. You know very well that in our parliament there is also a certain number of reserved constituencies for the SC, STs and the other backward classes, okay, from the different groups of our societies. So this type of arrangement is meant to give space in the government and administration to diverse social groups who otherwise would feel alienated from the government. So this method is used to give minority communities a fair share in power, and this is that best example in India we can see this all. And the last one is power sharing arrangements can be also seen in the way political parties, pressure groups and movements control or influence those in power. In a democracy the citizen must have freedom to choose among various contenders for power. In contemporary democracies, this takes the form of competition among different parties. Such competition ensures that power does not remain in one hand. In the long run, power is shared among different political parties that represent different ideologies and social groups. Sometimes this kind of sharing can be direct when two or more parties form an alliance to contest elections. If their alliance is elected, they formed a coalition government and thus share power. So in a democracy we find interest groups such as those of traders, businessmen, industrialists, farmers and industrial workers. They also will have a share in governmental power, either through participation in governmental committees or bringing influence on the decision making process. So in this way we have to understand the whole process of power sharing. So students, thus today we complete this chapter of power sharing. I hope you all understood. If you have any problem regarding this chapter we will discuss in later. Thank you very much to all of you for this class. I hope you will be all at home. Staying home is the right way to keep yourself healthy and to keep your family also healthy. Thank you very much.